Okay, today lesson we are going to learn the aggregate demand and aggregate supply. Three key facts about economic fluctuations. The economic fluctuations are irregular and unpredictable. Fluctuations in the economy are often called the business cycle, and these fluctuations do not follow regular or easily predictable patterns. As you are seeing on the graph, we are illustrating the short-run economic fluctuations on the figure. And the x-axis, the years, on the y, the real GDP development is illustrated on the graph. As you see, from 1965 to 2005, yearly development of the economy is illustrated, which is in progress. Three key facts about economic fluctuations. Most macroeconomic variables fluctuate together. Most macroeconomic variables that measure some type of income or production fluctuate closely together. Although many macroeconomic variables fluctuate together, they fluctuate by different amounts. If you are looking to the short-run economic fluctuations, you are observing here the investment spending on the billions of dollars, y-axis, and on the x is the years again illustrated. And as you are observing, the investment spending is yearly increasing, but there are some structural breaks and some reduction in some years, especially in 1970 to 75, and then goes to 80s to 85, some recessionary period, some decrease on the investments observed, but it is in generally increasingly rise the investment capacity on the economy. Three key facts about the economic fluctuations. As output falls, the unemployment rises. Changes in the real GDP are inversely related to the changes in the unemployment rate. Which means if the demand is reduced, it is expected that the unemployment rate will increase, and results of this, the output falls. When the supply is reduced, we are not expecting to increase the employed person. And this is then the important indication of the economic recession. If the output falls, the demand is supposed to be reduced, and this is affecting and reducing the unemployment. On the figure, we are observing the short-run economic fluctuations. As you are observing, there are some structural breaks, some irregular increase and decrease on the unemployment between 1965 to 2005. And this is then unfortunately between 1965 to 1970 is decreasing amount of reduction observed, and after 70s it is going to increase up to this 7%, this unemployment rate, and then it is again decrease until 75. After 75 it goes to around 8 to 9% the unemployment rate. After then 70s or 80s, then this will goes again to the downwards, and it is reduced again around 6, which is the natural rate of unemployment is expected around 6%. And after this, and it goes again to 10% in from 80s to so-called 85, and after 1985 it is again reduced until 95. Then in 95 it comes around 5%, and after then it goes again to 8% in the 1995 to somehow 98, and then after 98 it is again in reduction. It reduced to somehow 4% until 2005, and after 2005 it goes again up. This is then the indication that the economy is not doing well. Sometimes it is going up, sometimes it is going down. This up and down movements is the indication of the supply side of the economy, which is not doing well during the increased unemployment rate. And in the period where the unemployment is reduced, it is expected that the growth and the supply is also enlarged. Explaining the short-run economic fluctuations, most economists believe that the classical theory describes the world in the long run, but not in the short run. Because in the long run, the world economy is explained. And in the short run, as you are observing up to 1 year, the economical activities is defined. And the classical economy is supposed to be the world economics is going to be introduced in the long run, and it is affecting and changing the, of course, performance of the economies in the long run. When we are looking to the long period of time, we will then determine easily the performance of the countries. Short-run economic fluctuations, if the quantity of money in the economy were double, the price supposed to be double, which is the inflation. As you know, the rise of the price is the inflation. The general rise on the price is the inflation. And so this will then affect incomes either. The real variables supposed to be remain constant. These changes will not occur instantaneously. It takes time for prices and incomes to change, and in the meantime, there can be a real effects. As you are understanding, the price changes need some time, but in some emerging economies, unfortunately, these price changes realize in short period of time, in 1 year, in 2 years period of time, as you are observing currently in the economies of Turkish lira is very, very bad, stagnating, depreciating, and reducing its value in so-called a year, in 2 years period. And this is not good for the economies because it is affecting and changing the whole parameters, and it causes too much to the welfare. The inflation, which is the rise of the general prices, is actually causing some transfers. When the prices in the market is increased, most of the consumers suffering. They are not able to buy sufficient products because, as you are understanding, the price increase on the prices is not sufficiently reflected to the wages, and results of this unhappily changes between the wages and market prices. The consumers, so-called employee, is affected mostly because the prices increase very high, but the wages increase very small and slowly. And results of this increase, the resources, some resource transfer, goes from consumers to producers who are holding the capital in their hands. And this is unfortunately not good for the economy. As you are observing on the graphic, we are illustrating the consumer surplus and producer surplus together. On the x-axis, we illustrated the quantity, and on the y-axis, we are representing the prices. And when the prices goes up, the consumer surplus is reduced, as you are observing the green triangle, and the inverse so-called light brown or maybe pink triangle is the producer surplus. And when the prices goes up, this will then affect consumer surplus and reduce it and increase the producer gain sufficiently. And this is somehow not good for the welfare or per capita per income for the nations. And as you are observing here, I put some easily created and easily understandable graphic. The wheat quantity is illustrated on the x-axis and wheat price is on the y-axis. And when the wheat price goes from P to P dash, then the equilibrium moves from, let's say, P to P1, where it is intersecting the quantity. And as you are observing results of this price increase, some reasonable resources B plus C from the consumer's welfare goes to the producer gain, and results of this price increase, the welfare of the consumers is reduced. So-called ABC was the former welfare of the consumers, and results of this price increase, the price increase reduced the consumer welfare up to the A triangle, which is not good for the economy. And this is unfortunately a resource transfer from consumers to producers. The short-run production, as it applies to businesses, state that at a certain point in the future, one or more inputs will be fixed while others are variable, which means in the short run, at least one variable is supposed to be fixed and the others are changing, or at least one plus the others can be fixed, but some others are changing. When it relates to economies, the short run speaks to the idea that an economy behavior will vary, decide on how much time it has to absorb and react to stimulate. The short run's counterpart is the long run, and which contains no fixed cost in the long run. Instead, costs